Good morning and welcome to Rev 1211 Life. We are in the book of Ephesians. We're almost finishing up chapter 5 in Ephesians. And Paul is talking to us about how to walk this faith out. He's talking to the church of Ephesus, and it's for us, but he's talking about how to walk this out. And yesterday, he was talking about being a light. And so we discussed that a little bit, and how to walk and be the light in darkness. So he's saying now we're in verse 15 in chapter 5. And he's telling, originally he says, "Wake up, awake, you who sleep, arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light." And I'm going to read this. And I go back to my days in Kentucky. I've walked through a lot of fields doing hunting and fishing. And it kind of reminds me, and I've also been on a few construction sites, and he's telling them, he says, "See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise." He says in 16, "Redeeming the time because the days are evil." But when he says walk circumspectly, that just means walk carefully through this life. He didn't say walk scared through this life. He just says walk carefully. Uh, but like I said, from being from Kentucky, it's like you're walking through this life like you're walking through a cow pasture. You got to kind of watch where you step, because you don't want to go stepping in something that might mess your shoes up. I'll put it that way. Or it's like walking through a construction site barefoot. You really have to be careful where you're walking. So Paul is telling us, he says, be very circumspect, be careful. And careful just doesn't mean scared, once again. It just means, be full of care of where you're walking. So he says, and not as fools, but as the wise, because a fool just walks blindly. Uh, it just runs into all kind of snares and traps. But he's telling us, just be careful. He said, not. He said, because redeeming the time, because the days are evil. And I think that we live in a sinful world, and it's just the fact. Yes, these days are evil, and quite frankly, they're going to be worse before they get any better. But when we know that, we can walk with that knowledge and still know, hey, I can walk through this life. I can have joy. I can have peace. I can enjoy the fruit of the spirit. But I just have to be careful. I have to be careful where I walk. I have to be careful who I'm partaking of things with. I have to be careful of how I speak. I have to, you know, I have to be careful of these things, because all that I do, I want to represent and I want to honor God. And I don't want to fall into the snares, um, as Paul talked about before, these snares that can grieve the Holy Spirit. So that's the way we should be looking at our lives. Once again, not walking in fear, but one of just circumspect, being careful. So that's my encouragement for you today. As you walk through the cow pasture of life, the construction site of life, be careful where you step. Be careful where you walk. It's very important to avoid those snares that can get us in life. A lot of us may be in snares right now, but it's okay. You can come out of that. Begin today walking in circumspect, walking in the right direction, being the light that's in you right now. So you don't have to stay where you are. And I think I've mentioned it before. So you don't have, just because if you're walking down the street, just because you step in a puddle, it doesn't mean you have to stay and walk in the sewer. So come out of that with God's help and be the best. Be the best light you can be. Walk the best walk you can walk. And that's my encouragement for you today. Guys, take care. That small snippet, as we finish up chapter 5, there's so much in there. So you might just get one or two verses at a time at this point. But I'm loving it, and I hope you are too. And I'll be seeing you soon, Lord willing. Take care. God bless you.